Today, I invite you to follow along into a deep dive into an orchestral track I wrote. I will show a lot of little orchestration techniques and decisions that I made along the way, and I have a feeling that you don't want to miss that. So let's do this. The first thing I do is usually distribute the voices to the instrument sections and then add some decoration and pedal tones and some effects around it. Started with this structure here and put it on the tenor trombones, which kind of sounds like this. Let me just show this. Once I had this, I got to this line. And the register, I was not very happy with that. So I put it an octave down in the cellos. And I really like to combine the cellos with the bassoons for coloration. So that is what happened here. Let me just play you the line. And to make this thing a bit more interesting, because if we just listened to this part here, not very interesting, I know. So for that reason, I put in these guys here and the harp. If you look at what the harp is doing, then you realize all just supporting my original structure. I want to tell you quickly, I've put a link in the description box that will lead you to the Circle of Interval Magicians. That is our community where we teach how to use interval magic in your composition. I know it's an exciting topic, and if that resonates with you, I can't wait to welcome you inside the community. And now back to the orchestration. This structure here, I wanted to have this as a held structure for a long time. And this is written for the trombones. So I want the musicians prevent from dying because they have to breathe. That is why I'm changing the color of the sound, moving it from the trombones to the horns right here. And we can also listen to that transition real quick. And in the overall orchestration, you did not even recognize that the sound changed. But this is a wonderful way to almost EQ the sound. But essentially, this is here done because I respect the musicians. If I ever get to record this with a live orchestra, then you want to make sure that it's playable. Now with this motor here, that is actually an interesting part. I got rid of my downbeat. And mainly I did this because it is A, more interesting to listen to, and B, it gives more space and clarity to the overall orchestration. So this thing here, the violas, they also get doubled with the clarinet in a nice low register. And what is a great way to make the motor interesting over time is actually change the density of your orchestration. That is why the oboe and the flute come in. But let's have a quick listen, maybe just the woodwinds right here. So here we go. See, these things here, the trills, they're not showing up in the sketch. In fact, the downbeat is empty, except for the lower line that gets to its end point right there. But I'm not hitting anything in the register above on the downbeat. So there was this empty space. And the question comes up, well, what to do with that empty space? Let's make it interesting, right? And that's exactly what we do with the orchestration. So then from there, this little line here and even the harp run, love the 7 tuplets. It's not really loud. Let's hear it in context. If you know what to listen for, then you hear it. But that is part of decoration. These things don't show up in the sketch. So then these things here also just supporting the line. Let's listen to the strings real quick. In this line, the triplets here, this actually happens in the horns, and that is the part that is really strong. Yeah, so that is what you will be hearing. Let's go with the brass section real quick. And in this case, the brass section overshadows everything else. So let's listen to the whole thing here in Sibelius. This moment, totally love this low woodwind instruments. In the lower register, having the contrabassoon, the bassoons, 2 of them actually, and the bass clarinet, this is just fantastic. Listen to that roaring sound. Totally love that, really great. And this obviously also happens then with a little bit of support coming here from the strings. So this line, here the trumpet, they play in the same register. Right here, I'm bringing back the full brass section. And this works very effectively because here, the empty bar. This makes sure that your ear gets a break from the brass. Let me show you what I mean and play it from here. Right, so now it comes back to the full orchestra here with everybody playing. And that is just a nice moment. It's a short climax moment almost. So that is also why I'm bringing back the harp with this decoration. And also the woodwinds, they jump on this 4+2. So then here, bringing back only elements that we've heard already. So literally, this is nothing new. Down here in the sketch, you can see that's the motor. We have the line in the lower register, and now we have the structure in the middle. In fact, it happens in the horns right here. So let's see how that sounds. This part in the trumpets, nothing of that was visible here in the sketch. And this was a decision as I went through the orchestration. That's a trill playing decoration. Here we have pizzicato. And one important note is, if you want to have pizzicato, and again, this aims towards a live recording session, make sure that you give the players a little bit of time to prepare for getting rid of the bow. If you wrote something like that, and literally there is no time, then don't expect this note here to be held until the end of the bar. I would make sure that you give them at least a little bit of a rest here so that they can go to the other articulation. Also the same thing in reverse, going back to arco. Make sure they have enough time to do this, or you will hear a lot of noise in your recording session. And then this thing here, really based on triads. Let's hear that. Yep, pretty much running into this A minor triad, mainly because this is the tonality that I moved into. We have the A being the end of our melody phrase, and I kept it over the bar. Right here, I'm actually moving into the A major even. Do I keep this still? No, I got rid of the major sound and kept the minor in the orchestration. These are the little decisions that you make along the way. The moment I do, this guy is gone. So let's listen to that change actually. So you can hear it. You can hear it. It's a nice change in flavor. And then the last thing is my fancy structure here, the 4+2, the 6+4. And if you only look at this score, it's damn hard to understand what's going on, how I got here, all the decision making along the way. But that is how I treat interval theory in my writing and how I go through this whole thing here. If you want to have guidance or mentoring on how to apply interval magic to your own compositions and the music you write, please reach out to me. I'm here to help you. Best always, and see you in the next video.